it's because we're a vibrational match for things. So when we learn to love ourselves, we raise our vibration, we're going to match with somebody that's of a higher vibration, you know, rather than perhaps the relationships we might have had before when we didn't really feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. And I know you touched on the writing and using the opposite hand that we don't write with to kind of find out those answers and those mysteries. But maybe you could just expand a little on healing the inner child through art and poetry.
Oh yes, I feel like when we're using so much of our energy to, you know, make it about something outside of ourselves, we're really blocking our creativity and our voice. And when we can change that and bring it back inside, we release all of that energy that we've been using in a way that doesn't serve us. So suddenly we have this amazing amount of creative energy that comes through us. And art is so powerful. It's like meditation. You know, if people struggle to meditate, sitting down and doing artwork is a form of meditation. You know, if it takes 100% of your focus, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's not about that, you know. And again, that can be done with the other hand. And if the first thing that you do is get a piece of paper and a wax crayon and just let out all that anger and, you know, venom onto the paper, that is such a powerful exercise, you know. And the art can develop, but I believe art is incredibly healing, you know. But art or poetry, some form of creativity, it's a form of self-expression that hasn't always been able to come from our throat.
That's very interesting that you say, you know, speaking from the throat, because the throat chakra is a very interesting area that quite often a lot of women especially need a lot of healing, because they feel like they can't speak their truth and they can't, you know, really be empowered to come out and just say what they mean. And this is where your program is really going to raise that level of confidence to help them step into their power and to bring forth their voice.
My name is Terry Messenger, and I am
Hey, and welcome to Terry Messenger's Genius Zone. And, you know, this is the place and the space where you are going to get your own free masterclass, absolutely free. Hey, and welcome to Terry Messenger's Genius Zone. Well, you are in for a big treat this week, because we are about to awaken your soul's journey and bring you into your authentic power and purpose. Now, you know that's what Terry Messenger is all about. She loves to bring on talented and gifted people to add value and bring something magical to your life. And with this incredible lady, she is an intuitive visionary. She is a beautiful healer, master Reiki, and she's going to take you on this very sacred journey to reclaim your divine essence. You see, there are so many illusions and limitations that we have created since birth, and some even say before birth, and some say in past lives, and others say in generations. With this beautiful soul, she's going to be talking about her view on the past lives. And as you step fully into your radiance, you can get a little feeling of what it's like to be exactly where you're meant to be. So if you're ready for your own little breakthrough right here on this podcast, grab yourself your favorite drink, sit back, relax, and let's welcome the beautiful Melanie Seed. Hi, Melanie, how are you?
Hi, Terry. I'm great. How are you today?
I'm really well. It's a bit warm, actually, I must say. We're meant to be in autumn, but it feels like summer. So, you know, whereabouts are you in this wide and wonderful world?
Well, I'm in Southwest Ireland, so we don't very often know what that feels like to be warm. But it's actually a glorious day today. So.
And I believe that you're originally from the UK and then you kind of found your way there. And what really, I guess, took your love for that country to actually move in and make it your home?
Oh, I've been here 30 years this year. I was doing an environmental study because I love Mother Earth. And I came here to do a work placement in the National Park in Killarney. And it just felt like home. It was really a feeling. It felt like home, so I moved.
And of course, you are the soul awakening leader, and you're about to take us on this beautiful journey. And you're even going to give a little demonstration of how knowing your Akashic Records can totally expand your life. So I'm ready when you are, and I'm going to take you through, and I'm just going to open up your program. So for those listening, as I said, you're very, very fortunate because you get to have this mastermind absolutely free. So thank you for the gift, Melanie, of everything you're about to share. And, I guess you've come to know that the answers are within us and not really outside of us. And when it comes to the Akashic Records, because obviously through your 12-step transformation, it's the first thing that you do. How did it help you? How did knowing your Akashic Records personally open up a whole new world for you?
I was going through a very difficult time in my life, and I met a beautiful lady online, and she guided me through the Akashic Records with a reading, and it really just brought me home to myself. I describe it as finding the missing piece of the jigsaw. It really I just felt, wow, that's what I'm supposed to do, and that's what I'm here for. And it just gave me such confidence and courage to understand why I was going through what I was going through, and then to where it could take me in the future.
Wow. And I mean, that is very enlightening, because there are so many people, they're drifters. They're just walking around in the dark. And I know what that's like, and you know what that's like. And it's not a good place. And a lot of people, quite often think, I've got depression, or, I'm suffering all of these, medical terminologies, where in fact they're missing what I believe is that code of knowing their life purpose. So, when you were kind of open to that, to the Akashic Records, what did you find out about yourself? Like, what did it tell you that informed you to now go out and help the world in this way that you do?
Okay, so at the time I was doing Reiki healing and energy hands-on healing, and it really made me realize that I had a light, I had a light to shine, and I'd always been a bit sort of, who am I to shine my light? But, the classic, who are you not to? I was really brought to see that actually I was here to guide women, to help them the reason I was feeling what I was feeling is so that I could fully understand where people were coming from. So it helped me see that I had a job to do and to open me up to more confidence to go and do it.
Isn't that incredible? I think there are so many, well, I don't think I know this, there are so many coaches, healers and leaders out there that are wanting to piece together their niche, their client, call them in, and they're looking outside of themselves and they're trying to piece all this together. But then they suddenly, I know when they come into my world, they suddenly realize, hang on a minute, all the answers are within me. Yes. I went through every single experience so I could heal every single layer, so I could then be that ambassador to say, not only do I have, this particular training and coaching in what I do, but even more powerfully, I have this experience. Mm-hmm. And, I think these experiences that we have, even when we have like a dark night of the soul, and obviously that dark night of the soul, we can really turn it around and turn it into awakening our soul's wisdom. Yes. So what do you need when you do read a person's Akashic Records? What do you usually need from that person so you can obviously give them that guidance?
Okay, I don't usually take much information prior to the session because I don't want my ego and everything getting in the way. I just want it to be an energetic connection. So I need their full current legal name so that I can use a key to open the records and ensure it's their records I'm opening and their energy I'm connecting with. So then I take them on a visual journey, get to meet their Akashic guides and ask the questions that I do need them to come prepared with a couple of questions just to start the session rolling, and it can end up going anywhere.
Okay, so you're going to actually do a demonstration very soon. So right now, would you like to ask me anything or, sort of prepare me so that we can come back to that a little later?
Really, I just like, when I know you've probably already done all of this, Terry, it's to be grounded, to be centered, to do some deep breathing, just so that you come to the sessions prepared to be in that zone, of connecting and leave the world, the 3D world outside,
So you actually do say that, you'll say that to your clients to sort of come in grounded. What if you're dealing with, because I know that a lot of my own personal clients, they'll come in, some of them won't even know what it's like to feel calm. Yes. Or what it's like to feel relaxed, because I guess that's the nature of what I do, to kind of trap them back. But what would you do if a person didn't have the resources?
Well, I always, even though I ask people, if they can spend just 10 minutes just sitting, I will always bring them to a place of groundedness anyway by doing a short breathing and visualization exercise before I actually connect to their guides. So, I ask their guides and my guides to come in. So I always do it anyway myself, because like you say, people say my gift is helping them feel calm. And obviously that means I attract people who don't feel like that.
True. Yeah, it's quite a strange irony, really, isn't it? It's we're attracting exactly that, I guess, that brokenness of our own shadow of where we've been ourselves. And I really haven't done a lot of one-on-one in-person coaching and healing and transformation for a number of years. I've been sort of more in the online space teaching and training coaches. And on the weekend, I went to a healing festival. So I became the healer, which is what I love doing. But it was interesting that all the people that gravitated to me were actually, because obviously I'm in my 50s, but they were all about between the ages of 27 and 38.
And I realized that that was the critical stage of my own life when the wheels fell off for me. It was 27, I had a breakdown, and right through to really, I mean, I reckon 40 even. And these are the people that I was really attracting. And I realized it's because I was attracting that part of my soul that had been broken the way they're broken. And obviously I healed those wounds, and that's really what they're wanting to do. But now it's interesting because I'm on a different journey, and I don't know how much you know about me, but that journey, it will be interesting to hear what you've got to say. So the only advice for me right now from you would be just to make sure I'm quite grounded when we explore this. Wonderful. Well, before we go into that, let's talk about, 12 steps. So just in knowing what these 12 steps are, Melanie, I love that you've shared this backstage, because what that means is as people hear these chapters, that's just going to help them evolve just even in listening, let alone when they come into your space. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the first one. So we've just discussed it, which is the awakening of the soul's wisdom through the Akashic Records.
Yes.
So, yeah, can you talk me through that?
Yes, I find that the Akashic Records are a really good way of helping me and the person to kind of get out of our own way and get into the subconscious, what's really going on in their lives. It helps them have a little direction if they didn't have any, so they can come and really, find out where they want to go and maybe some of the reasons why things are going on in their lives as they are. It gives it can give a general overview of where they are and maybe where they think they'd like to go. And it's at a higher level truth. The Akashic Records hold your soul level truth.
Yeah, and I feel like that is gold, because, a lot of people, when they first, go into a normal counselling session, they don't always want to say everything or what's really important, or they may not even say or know what to say at all, really. Sometimes they don't know where to start. So I believe that the Akashic Records, very similar to what I do with the subconscious work, it's kind of fast-tracking things. So you're assisting them to really know themselves at a deeper level, so they can also come to know why they are the way they are. Mm-hmm. And perhaps, like you said, discovering that missing piece, because I know that feeling very, very well myself.
Sorry, I don't mean to come across you. I did train in counselling first. That was the first modality that I trained in, and it was as I was doing that I realised that talking is wonderful, but in an Akashic or a healing session, you can do 10 sessions of talking in a click of the fingers. So it's so powerful, so deep, and sometimes people don't even need to relive the trauma, to heal it, and that's such a powerful thing,
It so very much is. And you're such a gentle soul, and you're so gently spoken, and you've got such a compassionate, kind spirit, and yet there is also a strength as well. And I'm loving that about you. Now, we also look at the step 2, which is, coming into Melanie's program. My goodness, this is do not pass go, do not collect $200. This is a must. The healed and healing the wounded inner child, and helping that inner child dissolve the limiting beliefs. And you also spoke on, going back and nurturing that child. Can you talk me through that?
Yes, I think so often we have this thing going on of, I don't want to feel like that. not realizing that the very act of saying that is holding that energy tightly to you. So you know, it's like walking around with a ball and chain saying, I don't want that ball to keep following me, you know. So the thing to do is to bring that inner child in and acknowledge all of those things that she was trying to tell you that she needed when she was a child and she didn't get. So to actually, you know, embrace her and hold her in your heart and ask her, what did you need? How did you feel? So that you can then say, well, how can I give that to you now? And give it to her. You know, don't ask her and then ignore her. You know, I often do a thing with get a pen in each hand and have a conversation. So your non-dominant hand will often be whether your inner child will speak to you through that. So you can ask a question for me with my right hand and write the answer with your left hand with no judgment of how that writing looks, you know.
Wow.
And that can be a very clear way of speaking to your inner child. And another way that I do it is to do a guided visualization of bringing her out in front of you and holding her hands.
Oh my goodness, that's so powerful. I love that. You know how a lot of people that are traumatized, quite often it comes from their family of origin. You know, it happens either during that time of their life while they're growing up in the family of origin, or it comes from the parents or the, you know, some significant people in there. I know that one of the acts of forgiveness that I quite often take people through is the act of, you know, for example, we had a lady who really, really despised her father, and we just could not get her to feel any differently about it. But, you know, he wasn't suffering as a result of her hatred. So I got her to actually shrink him back and take him back to being the small child. And, you know, here's the very ironic thing. And, you know, this is where we tend to look for things outside of ourselves when they're right, you know, on our doorstep. However, I said to her, like, now he's a small child. And she realized that he wasn't able to give her what she needed because he didn't have it to give.
Mm-hmm.
When I asked her what he needed, everything she said, because it's as you would know, a very intuitive thing, right?
Yes.
She hit the nail on the head. Everything that her father needed is what she couldn't have and what she needed.
Yes.
So it was like this. And there's something powerful about shrinking the perpetrator or the enemy down and making them like a small, innocent, helpless child until she was literally holding him in her arms and just gazing into his eyes and telling him that, you know, she forgives him.
Yes.
So, yeah, I do love child healing.
Yeah, it's so powerful to be able to, and when you realize you're forgiving for yourself so that you can move on with peace in your heart and mind, it's not about them at all, really, you know.
Exactly. Exactly. Like this is the big thing, isn't it? That people get away from a healing session and that person they've been despising that's caused them dis-ease, whether in their body or their mind or wherever, has really been about just what they've been carrying in that library for so long. But anyway, let's move to the next part of your program. So you then help rewire the subconscious. I love the rewiring. It's one of my faves. And you rewire the subconscious mind to align with obviously who they are at their highest potential. Can you help the people understand out there that may not know about what that's like to rewire? What are some of the elements that happens in that rewiring?
Okay, let me see if I can answer that in the way that you've asked it. But it's like, you know, we have these stories that we just keep telling, like, you know, I'm not good at this, or I don't know how to do that. That, you know, it's just, and we think that that's part of our makeup of who we are, you know, that I've never been able to do that, and all of those. So in terms of for me, for instance, my mother, I always thought she didn't want me, but as an adult, I can see that it was the stress of having another child. It wasn't the me that I am that she didn't want. So I was able to go back and do a visualization and actually draw my birth completely differently, and, you know, welcome beloved child, and to bring that through. So then I have a new story. So I'm changing the energy in my brain, the messages, to, you know, I was so wanted and welcomed, and that can change the whole story. So I help people look at the stories they've been telling themselves that they might not have even been aware of, and to change the stories that they're telling themselves until a new way of being emerges, you know, and a new, you know, I'm, say for instance, you know, I'm frightened of technology, or, you know, oh, I'm really learning how I work with technology and it enhances my life. Just such a simple reframe to yourself. But it's being able to catch yourself and being aware that you're speaking in a way that doesn't serve you, catching it and changing it, and then speaking to yourself in a way that does serve your growth.
Absolutely, because our words are our want, really, aren't they? Like, you know, what we say and what we speak, we're speaking life and death. And I don't talk about just death as in physical death. I'm talking about death of success, or death of, you know, the things like wealth or health or anything, even while we're on this earth. But we can speak life into our health. We can speak life into our wealth. We can speak life into our relationships. So, you know, where Melanie's standing, it's all about the inner dialogue. And we've got here written in that third step, you know, that's healing the inner dialogue of the blueprint, which is, you know, really a big part of what becomes a big part of your reality. And once you go through this deep inner work with Melanie, you're going to be able to shift that disempowered language of the past and transmute it into a language of confidence, love, and self-worth. And I love that you really are a great believer in self-love and self-worth.
I feel that the relationship we have with ourselves defines every other relationship we have in our lives. So, you know, people say, oh, I want to be loved. Well, start with yourself, you know. And I don't mean you can't have a relationship if you don't love yourself first, but it's because we're a vibrational match for things. So when we learn to love ourselves, we raise our vibration, we're going to match with somebody that's of a higher vibration, you know, rather than perhaps the relationships we might have had before when we didn't really feel good about ourselves.
Yeah, that's right. And I know you touched on the writing and using the, you know, the opposite hand that we don't write with to kind of find out those answers and those mysteries. But maybe you could just expand a little on healing the inner child through art and poetry.
Oh yes, I feel like when we're using so much of our energy to, you know, make it about something outside of ourselves, we're really blocking our creativity and our voice. And when we can change that and bring it back inside, we release all of that energy that we've been using in a way that doesn't serve us. So suddenly we have this amazing amount of creative energy that comes through us. And art is so powerful. It's like meditation. You know, if people struggle to meditate, sitting down and doing artwork is a form of meditation. You know, if it takes 100% of your focus, and it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's not about that, you know. And again, that can be done with the other hand. And if the first thing that you do is get a piece of paper and a wax crayon and just let out all that anger and, you know, venom onto the paper, that is such a powerful exercise, you know. And the art can develop, but I believe art is incredibly healing, but art or poetry, some form of creativity, it's a form of self-expression that hasn't always been able to come from our throat.
That's very interesting that you say, speaking from the throat, because the throat chakra is a very interesting area that quite often a lot of women especially need a lot of healing, because they feel like they can't speak their truth and they can't, really be empowered to come out and just say what they mean. And this is where your program is really going to raise that level of confidence to help them step into their power and to bring forth their voice. And your beautiful modalities, such as rewriting the story to their life, the Akashic Records, and the healing through art and poetry, I feel are absolutely divine. Now, because you've got so many steps here, but I am going to I'm going to talk them through really quickly, and then I'm going to get you to choose the one you'd like to open out, and then we'll go into an Akashic Records little sample. So number 6 is discovering your soul purpose. We all know that that's what we believe on this show. 7 is claiming your power. Get into the driver's seat. So who's driving your car? Number 8, embodying your higher way of being. Number 9, rebirthing through integration. So, that's a whole thing of, I guess, when you're on the other side of this program with Melanie, she's going to really, have a look at that rebirth and what that's like for you, and the integration, because that's a really big piece actually of the healing, and that is that people recognize the changes they've made. And step 10, stepping beyond the mask and being able to live your authenticity. Love that. 11 is awakening your voice, and confidence. And finally, 12 is the mastery of receiving and expansion. So any of those that you'd love to kind of open up for a little bit of conversation here today, Melanie? There's so many gold nuggets right here, from soul purpose to claiming your power in the driver's seat, to the higher way of being, and the integration or the living into authenticity, or maybe there might be something else. But what would you love to share about this program in terms of what's really relevant?
I feel like I guess what I'd like to talk about is how people often don't know what an authentic yes and no feels like. If they've been like I used to be, the people pleaser, just tell me what you want so I can give it to you, and then I know how to behave, but stepping into a new way of being that's authentic, that, you have stepped out from behind that mask and go, what do I actually want to do? How do I choose me? And I love to help people embody that by doing an exercise, of asking them questions, asking them to say no when they want to say yes, and asking them to say yes when they want to say no. And actually we're in the body, and how does that feel? So that they can actually learn how it feels to say yes when they want to say yes, and to say no when they want to say no, and how that differs from how they've been all along, going, oh yes, of course, when they want to say, oh no. So I love to help people find that authentic feeling in their body, and it's a new feeling for them quite often.
That's incredible, because this is the second time that in the last few weeks that I've done a podcast about this, and I say, let your yes be yes and your no be no. So maybe there's something that, God is trying to say to me, that to be very definite about that, because it does take a lot of strength. So maybe there is that message to me in all of that. I always believe that everything does happen for a reason. So no, that is very interesting that you would bring that to the forefront. And I believe the gold in that too is to own your authenticity, like Melanie says, and don't shy away. We just, life is too short, isn't it? Like to play small and then feel like, I don't want to get rejected, or I don't want to be judged, or whatever else, just to find out that one day when you're old and grey, you think to yourself, well, if only, take that plunge. What would your higher self say? Be authentic. There's only one you. So I absolutely love that. I would love to jump in your program myself. So, okay, can we go into the exciting part where we can get a little bit of a glimpse of your magic?
Okay, yeah, cool. I'm not sure how much time we have for this, Terry, but for me just to take you...
About 5 minutes or around
Yeah,
that?
okay, so am I going to assume that you're grounded and centered is what I mean?
I'm always feeling, I'm not always feeling like this when I'm doing a show, but when I'm really enjoying a podcast and I'm really present, I definitely can say that I'm very, very present at the moment with you.
Okay, well, I will just ask you to take one very deep breath, so just in through the nose. And just hold it, 2, 3, 4, and then just do a lovely long slow exhale. And I'm going to ask that all of your guides and all of my guides will come and work with me and through me for your highest healing and the highest good of all. I'm just going to read the key to let us into the Akashic Records. So, in the name of the divine and all that is holy and sacred, I ask to access the Akashic Records of Terry Elizabeth Messenger. It is with pure intention to be a messenger of divine will and grace that I ask to access the Akashic Records of Terry Elizabeth Messenger. I ask that I be made a pure, clear channel for today's session, and that divine healing and messages take place exactly as they need to. So in the name of the Creator, the Akashic beings, and Terry Elizabeth Messenger, the records are now open. The records are now open. The records are now open. So how I tend to visualize this, Terry, is I just take you on a small journey to meet your guides. And you strike me as someone who's very energetic, who, is a real action taker, who wants to get, I want this answer like now, I'm running towards this. But I also see somebody who, although you might be running towards it, you still want to see what's going on left and right. You're not blinkered necessarily and going straight for it. You just, you're taking in everything that's either side of you as well. So I just wanted to check, please, do I have your permission to enter your records? Thank you. And I see you walking along a beach. I see you just barefoot in the sand, just taking it all in, listening to nature. And the waves are gentle, so doesn't look like a big emotional scene. And I have never experienced this before in a session. I feel like your guides, we're just going to sit down on the beach. There's no big library of tomes here. It feels like we're going to conduct this session on the beach. So, is water important to you, Terry?
Oh yes, I'm a Scorpio, and put me near water in any kind of mood, and watch me change and transform.
Oh, okay, well that makes a lot of sense, because that's never happened to me before. So beautiful, though. It's just like sitting on this glorious beach. Now your guides are here. Turquoise, the color turquoise is coming through very strongly for me. Do you have a question that you would like to ask of your guides, Terry? Is there something that you would like to know about today?
I don't know whether this question is too cheeky. However, you know, I'm a open person, and I don't mind sharing this. But my husband is on a journey where his life has completely gone on to a different, completely different dimension altogether from where we were together as a couple and in our business together. And he's a chiropractor, and now he's in permanent care. And I am, you know, obviously a little relentless. I am looking around left and right. I'm fortunate to have open-minded doctors, open to me and to what I'm, you know, what I'm about and what I believe, which is great. And, you know, I feel that I'm there every day with him, and I do feel that there's probably maybe some acceptance that I need, or maybe continue on with this relentless determination, because, you know, I believe in miracles.
Okay. So,
well, that wasn't a question though, was it? I don't know if that's good enough for you.
Okay, I'm sure your guides will give you the answers that you seek, regardless of how the questions get asked. Beloved beings, I'm sure you heard Terry's question or statement or inquiry there. So what would you like her to know about her current situation with her husband? I feel like there is a duality in your current situation, because I see you sitting holding his hand, and I also see you running. So it feels like there's a mixture in this energy.
So you see me holding his hand, and you see me, what was the other one?
Sorry, then I also saw you like running along the beach at the same time, you know, so there's like this sort of duality of sitting with and the running. You know, that it feels like those two energies are going on at the same time for you. That was the images that came to me, so I'm just going to ask for a bit of expansion on that, if that's all right with you. Thank you for those beautiful images. May we have a little expansion? Can you bring them together into one future scene? Okay, I hope you're okay with me being 100% honest with what I'm seeing, Terry. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I asked, so
yeah, yes. When I asked for them, you know, could they bring those two scenes together in the future? What I saw was you sitting beside him. He's in a bed, and I saw you holding his hand, and then I saw you taking his hand and putting it on his chest and just kissing him on the forehead and walking away. That was the image that I saw. So I can go back and ask more if you need more from that. It felt a very beautiful, loving gesture, but it definitely sort of felt like just putting his hand there and then kissing him on the forehead, and just, it was incredibly beautiful and loving. But then I just saw you sort of standing and turning.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I got shivers up my spine, so, I feel maybe I could expand, and I'll definitely maybe do that with you, after the podcast. But you know, I'm thinking now. So, what would this mean for that woman out there that comes into Melanie's space and really goes through this incredible, you know, open spiritual walk with her? It means that maybe there's a lot of answers that can be given, and sometimes people, they may not want their future to be told, but sometimes it's about giving them a kind of a certainty that there's something above and beyond, you know what I mean, what they're experiencing. And even when you're experiencing in the shadow, and if you're going through a really dark time, there's light on the other side. Like you said, for me, the duality of being beside him and then on the beach, that's very it's very typical of me, because you know that's how I play. It's I'm all in, or you know, but wherever I am, I can be those two people. I can be the activist and be in my masculine energy, and then I can be the feminine and be in that feminine energy as well. So
I feel like
what would you say then?
sorry.
I'll let you talk. So what would you say to me from what you have kind of just opened up?
From the visions that I had, I felt like it was more of a case of just reclaiming some time for you, you know, because it was a very beautiful scene, but it felt like, you know, I can't sit in this forever giving, you know. I feel like I just need a little bit of breathing space. I just need to go and claim some time for me. And, you know, I'm just going to leave this here for a moment, and I'm just going to turn and just give myself what I need for a little while, you know. So that's how it felt, you know. But that didn't actually drop in until after, you know. So it's sometimes things need a bit more exploration. They're not always as black and white as they might appear. That vision could have meant
that's very intuitive, because you do not know me from a bar of soap, really, except for you've been so beautiful to accept this ability to come and share your wisdom right here on the podcast. And the fact is that is what I know that the world, people around me are saying, that, you know, there is that time. And the way to put that into another way of putting it, which really honors what you've just said, is that I had a lady who called herself the storyteller, because I was at a spiritual healing festival on the weekend, and she said, you're seeking the love and acceptance from someone who is no longer has the capacity to give that. And then she went on and she said, but you are not called to sacrifice your soul because of where that person is. So there's that, you know, honoring of my own self to say, well, this is his soul's path and his soul's journey, and this is my soul path and my soul journey. And I'm going to be a lot better for him anyways, yes, on my crusade, in that a way of filling my own cup, which is what you teach and preach, and what you're giving to women in your program.
Yeah, for sure. You know, you cannot, if you give and give and give and you're not refilling, well, then you're just going to burn out and collapse. And, you know, and we turn ourselves inside out and then feel resentful to the people, you know. So instead of actually going, well, what do I need? And it's not selfish, it's selfless, really, because we have to. It's essential. Like, you know, I don't necessarily even call it self-care. I see it as an essential part of keeping ourselves healthy in mind and body and spirit.
Wow. How many sessions do you feel that woman that really wants to find her soul calling, that really wants this awakening,
that really wants to be on this journey, because you've got these beautiful 12, I call them master keys. That's my language, that unlock, what their awakened journey is into their transformation and their soul, that real soul awakening. But how many sessions do you recommend on average to, that person? Because you do a lot of the one-on-ones, and I feel that as you are ready to open up your program now, where people can do both, what does that look like for someone perhaps doing one-on-one in and doing the group with you? How many sessions do you think they need?
If somebody was coming to me just via the Akashic Records, I would love for them just to have the 3 sessions, because I have a small offering where the first session is really exploring what's going on. The second session can be more of an in-depth healing session from what's come up in the first session. And then the third session is more about, okay, like, oh, I've done, yeah, great, thank you. Now where am I going? So from an Akashic, with some coaching, because, I bring all of me. So I would say 3 sessions. My Live Your Soul Led Life program is a 12 session thing, but then, I can adapt that for someone as well. I have people that come to me once a month, who've done a longer session, and they like to just come once a month and stay to have their maintenance, their top up, but some people then come for the hands-on sessions, but I can do those remotely as well. So it's quite a hard question to answer.
Yeah, look, I love your answer, because it's limitless. It's really it's about the blueprint of your client, and I can see that very clearly, that you're not going to give the hard and fast rules, because how long's a piece of string, and we all have a different blueprint, DNA, thumbprint, and therefore, you're honouring that, and you're really taking them on that sacred journey. So I am just so grateful for what you have brought to the show. And I would like to say, for those of you who are really looking for that awakening, that soul awakening, to go in and find your voice, to understand where you've come from and where you're going to go, and to break free of those masks. And as you say too, Melanie, the people-pleasing trap, and, really find your path to your awakened transformation. We're going to put Melanie's links in the show notes, so you can make a direct contact with her. And, this lady is a very generous soul, so, you can expect big things. I mean, obviously, we just gave you a glimpse of what Melanie does, but I can tell you right now, I feel expanded somehow, maybe because she brought in that divine, the divine energy. So I feel really expanded just from that very short snippet. And now a question that I would not let anyone go away without at least having the opportunity to answer. So when we, obviously we say goodbye to our audience, and you go about your life, and, you'll probably feel all these downloads, because this is really, really quite a thing that happens with many gifted spiritual coaches, healers, and leaders. And you think, oh, I would have loved to share that. If there was something you'd like to share, and that person that's praying to meet you, hear you, and experience this beautiful work that you do, it doesn't have to be profound. It may be just something that you feel called to share. What would you share if you could share something before we conclude?
I think something that just dropped in while you were talking is that for people to remember that all of the love that they try to give somebody else is already within them. because if it wasn't within them, they wouldn't be able to give it to anybody else. So just remember that, they really do have everything that they need already within themselves. It just might need a little bit of help for them to experience that, to feel that and to know how it feels to give that to themselves.
Beautiful. That is just very divine. So, Melanie, I know that we're going to have all of your communication contact in the show notes. Where would you tell someone to contact you? What would be your first point of contact?
I was going to say WhatsApp actually is if that really
so you
is.
have the WhatsApp then, guys. We'll put the WhatsApp in the chat below, so make sure you perhaps send you a text.
Send me a text on WhatsApp. It's the one I see first and quickest. It's the quickest line of response for me. I mean, emails are great, but I get so many they can get a bit lost in there sometimes. So WhatsApp is wonderful. Yes, thank you very much, and I really look forward to connecting with people. And obviously, Terry, I want to say thank you so much for inviting me on here and spending time with me today and letting me share everything about what I do.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. So I love that. And I'm a WhatsApp person too. We can talk all the way around the world. And I know that Melanie will be extremely generous. So if you tell her that you heard her podcast and you would like that special VIP treatment, she'll probably offer you something super special. So Melanie, thank you so very, very much.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Yes, and you too.
A show where we have explored through this various topic, along with all the exciting new topics that we bring every week to enhance your personal mastery of excellence. Now, I'd love you to do me a favor. In fact, be part of the Legacy 1 million that I have in the vision for 2028. If you know someone who really would benefit from this recording, from this episode, please share it with them. And when you subscribe, you get notified every week of our episode as soon as it drops. So let's do that legacy thing. Let's share, let's care, let's enrich. And I look forward to bringing you another week of the most enriching content. So until next time, stay inspired, stay awesome, and keep on mastering your excellence.